All right, Cait, welcome back to the show. We're going to dive right in. So, obviously, the conversation around being a really ambitious, career driven woman, but also loving being a mum isn't the easiest of conversations. It can be triggering for some people. Everyone has different opinions. And I feel like a lot of women can feel very terrified that motherhood and ambition and having a career and just that drive can feel too much, but not enough at the same time. So I kind of want to start here. What did you realize you weren't going to do when you were choosing between the two and just being in this energy of motherhood and ambition?
I love this. Okay, well, first things for damn sure, I knew that I was not prepared to put my motherhood and sacrifice my motherhood on the altar of my business. And this is coming from me, like super ambitious woman, Enneagram 3, go-getting manifester, like come from a high achieving academic and athletic background. So like achievement and ambition is just in my blood. But I knew when I was pregnant, I knew when I gave birth, I'm like, I am not prepared to sacrifice my motherhood on the altar of my business. At the same time, I also knew that I was not prepared to accept the narrative and the current cultural portrayal of like devoted motherhood equals like martyry self-sacrifice. And it was really interesting, Monica, because when I was pregnant with my first, that is when my business exploded. Not because I was working harder, not because I was like grind, got to grind it out because then I'm like doomed forever and had this like fatalistic view of motherhood. I just was like, I know what I'm here to do. I know that I love my work, and I know that I need my work to serve my life, my mission, but my life as a mother first and foremost. And I had my very first $300,000 month when I was in my 9th month of pregnancy with my daughter. And that was such a turning point moment for me because I was like, oh, this is how we do it.
Yeah, I cannot agree with that more. And like now, obviously stepping into motherhood, it is like such a, I was saying this to you before, of like the discernment that I now have, like how sharp that is just like profound compared to, and I had really good discernment before I became a mom, but now it's just like another level. And I second that of like, I want my business to support me being able to show up as a mom in the way that I want to show up as a mom, but I also love my business. And so things have to change because I don't want to sacrifice either. And I do believe that we get to have our ideal career and our ideal motherhood at the same time. We just need to be creative in the way that we go about it. So I love that. And so on that question then, motherhood doesn't just change our schedule and like how we're showing up in the day and how we're juggling everything. It changes also how we see ourselves and our identity. So how did you personally navigate? Because I feel like I haven't had like I was kind of prepared for it, but I haven't had like this huge identity death or crisis, which I'm kind of grateful for because I've built such a, like, I think I spoke about this to you when we last podcasted. Like I was a little bit worried because I've built such an epic business that I love. And I was like, I don't really want that much to change. But I know for you, a lot changed when you became a mother, and it wasn't in a negative way. And I know a lot of women can think that like it's going to be all doom and gloom, especially for their career when they become a mom. So how did you navigate the identity death crisis, whatever word that you want to use, when that ambition kind of came at a potential crossroad with motherhood?
Okay, I love this question. I can't wait to dive into it. And I want to just say this for anybody who's listening and even for you, Monica, like anybody who is afraid of that identity death, I'm afraid of any death, whether it's like, oh God, I haven't had it yet. Like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Is it going to happen to me? And we're nervous about it, right? Because we've built something beautiful. We've built something amazing. We've built something that feels like home and it's successful and it's making money. And we're like, oh my gosh, I don't want everything to fall away. I feel like if motherhood teaches us anything, it is that we get to trust the unknown process of transformation, of alchemy, and who we're going to become through the other side. So So I just want to say that for anybody who's listening and like, oh, like wincing and fearing, is that going to happen to me? Maybe with my next kid, if I'm wanting to have another, maybe if I rock the boat in this way, probably shouldn't. I feel like if motherhood teaches us anything, it's not to fear that fire of transformation because it is for a greater purpose and what's waiting for us. Just, I want you to entertain, like, what if what is waiting for you on the other side is better than you could have controlled yourself?
Oh. Like, thank you for this reminder. And I just, before you answer the question, I'm like, you know, I had the most beautiful, I can't wait until you can listen to the birth story podcast. It'll be out next week from the time it's recording. But I had the most incredible home birth, and just like the level of surrender that you have to get to when you are giving birth, and then, you know, and how that then like kind of prepares you for motherhood, because like you have to surrender so much with motherhood, you know, like just when I think I'm like, yes, 7 hours he slept, and then the next night he's up every 2. And it's like, if I tried to figure out why that happened and like what the reason was, I'm just going to drive myself mentally insane, because maybe there is no reason and he's just being a baby. And I'm like, God, motherhood has brought me like into the embodiment of surrender in an even deeper way. And you're so right in how that then like shifts into business, because something that has really shifted for me as I've become a mom is this intense trust. Like if something isn't going my way, if a launch isn't turning out perfectly, I'm like, it's fine. And I just couldn't have said that I would have fully felt that level of like absolute neutrality before I was pregnant. I felt it when I was pregnant. And now that I'm a mom, I feel it even more, because I truly am like, I know I'm showing up in full alignment, in my best energy. So like everything's happening for me and everything's only going to get better and better. And just like you said, what if what's waiting for me is even better than I could possibly imagine right now?
Yes, I love that so much. Oh my gosh, so good. Okay, so to answer
back to the question.
I don't say this to, you know, this is my truth and my experience for me. This could be different for other people, but very similar to you, Monica. So going from 0 to 1, like when I had Ella, my firstborn, of course it was in so many ways an identity rebirth. Like I went from not having a small person to take care of and my own soul beating in a heart outside my body to having that be my reality. But in many respects, I was able to keep on keeping on in my life in a very similar way. Despite having a very challenging, I would even call it traumatic first birth, not the birth that we wanted, and a much longer physical recovery time, I was able to get back into my own rhythm. I absolutely detest the phrase like bounce back, but I just feel like my energy and my physical body and I was able to kind of keep on with my normal pace. Now I had to figure out, my husband and I had to find a great nanny. We had to figure out childcare and our rhythm together. But in many respects, I wouldn't say that I had an identity death and rebirth when I had one. Okay. On Ella's first birthday, I took a pregnancy test and found out I was pregnant with our second, with Jack. And Jack was I can't remember if I shared his birth story on the last episode, but just the TLDR is I had a very redemptive, healing, powerful home birth experience with him. And that for me, not only the birth, but the reality of having 2 children under 2, it's like I had to repack the bags. Like I feel like having one kid is like having your arms full and there's like one more bag of groceries that you pick up with your pinky and you can bring it in. Having 2, it was like all the bags broke, all the shit was everywhere, and we had to pick ourselves up and repackage it in a completely new way. So for me, the big identity death and rebirth happened after that. Now, very similar to you, I had built a business that I love. I had built a multi-7-figure business. I had a multi-7-figure offering that I began to hear the whispers of close it down. And I was like, yo, like, is this thing on? Like, am I getting the right message here? Because what the actual fuck is my higher self saying to me right now? Because that's madness. Like, that is absolute madness. And yet I couldn't ignore it, Monica. So I was really known for energy and strategy, you know, this like go-getting business coach. Yeah. And my soul was in a different space. Not that I wasn't interested in business and making money. I totally was. But I'm like, I can't pretend to just keep contributing to the noise of this conversation in the absence of specifying it for motherhood. Because my entire reality is different now. My capacity is different.
Amen.
Yeah.
Just like in terms of how like when people say like, oh, like since you become a mother, that's all you talk about. And now being a mom, I'm like, yeah, that's literally my whole life. Like how can my whole world not be about being a mom now? Like that's what I felt, right? And I think that people can see that as a negative thing, but it's like, it's not that I'm consumed by it in a negative way. It's just like everything about me and my life and whatnot. It just is like, that's just the reality of it in a beautiful way. And how can you ignore that? It sounds like what you're saying as well.
100%. And like a great example of this, I can see their faces right now. I can think of a few clients that I'd had that were with me for years who were in many ways, quote unquote, dream clients. And I was really afraid, oh, am I going to ostracize this, part of my demographic and part of my community. And what is true for me is that, yeah, they're not in any of my containers anymore. And we do have several women rather, who are not yet moms who are in our containers, but who know that they are either thinking about motherhood or are currently pregnant or are wanting that for their future. But my new direction became increasingly irrelevant for somebody who, motherhood is not wanting to be like a front and center part of their conversation. And that is okay. I think the fear of, oh my gosh, but what if things change? It's like, that's the whole point. The whole point is that we become more and more of who we are. The whole point is that we become more impassioned and aligned to make change and create impact in the direction that we're called to do so. The whole point is that when we follow that, when we let ourselves go all the way in and through the identity death and experience that rebirth, we're going to make more money. We're going to be more aligned. We're going to be more effortlessly magnetic because we are going in the direction that is true for our soul.
That was amazing. What do you think then women are afraid of? The women that, whether they want to have a little side gig, whether they want to go back to work, whether they, are like, whether they're just in the shit show of their mind right now, what are they afraid of that you've seen from your clientele?
What I have seen is that and I really believe this is like leftover. I don't wrong any woman for having these feelings, but I believe that a lot of women feel like we need to figure it out by ourselves. And if anything has been strengthened in me since becoming a mother is that we were not meant to do this alone. If you are still, I can't tell you how many women I've spoken to who are like, Cait, I'm so drawn to your work. I'm like, I just feel so much resonance, goosebumps over my whole body. I had a dream about you, this, that, the other. But like, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to leave my corporate job, or I don't know if I can really turn this into a business, or I'm already running this successful business. I don't know if I can make this pivot. I don't know what's going to come next. And it's like, do you know how your baby is going to enter the world? Do you know what's going to happen on their first birthday? Do you know? Like, the point is not micromanaging and controlling the outcome of our future. The point is putting ourselves in the environment of support, of surrounding ourselves with the right people, and of not feeling like we have to perpetuate this superwoman, super mom, do it alone, have it all under control at the cost of our health and sanity, just say I did it by myself. And so I think a lot of women are afraid of the unknown. I think it's the fear that holds us back in so many different areas of life. I think we are afraid of what we don't know. And yet, just like in nature, the ailment, so if there's like a poisonous plant or a poisonous bush or whatever, the remedy is always grown really close by. The same thing is true in motherhood. When we are afraid of the unknown, what we need to remember as mothers is literally that is how new life is born. It's through the darkness, through the portal of the unknown is the answer to what is waiting for us on the other side.
I love this. And something that you have shared, I feel like on your Instagram stories and your content before, is just how mothers, or maybe you haven't, but I've thought this somewhere, but like mothers have, I feel like, this fire and ambition that just can't get accessed unless you're a mom. It's like one of those mom superpowers. Like, it doesn't matter how many productivity hacks that you have in the world. when you become a mum, that productivity hack, I mean, it can't be taught, right? Like the only way you can access it is if you're a mum.
Totally.
And it's amazing. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm obsessed with this like mum productivity now that I have it. Like, I get it. And so my question for you is, do you feel like mothers, and this is a generalization, mothers are more ambitious in their business and get more shit done and can be more successful because they're like shorter on time and they have better discernment and all that, or not? Like, and of course there are people that can have hugely successful businesses without being a mother, but I'm saying generally speaking, also looking back on your business prior to the Millionaire Mother, do you feel like your clients now that are mothers are more successful or get more shit done than the clients that you had that weren't mothers?
Look, it's a great question. My experience of this is that everything, I wouldn't say yes as a generalization. I think that is true for many mothers. What I really believe about motherhood, and you alluded to this so beautifully before, and this is like just in my experience now, having an almost 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old, everything is about seasons. Everything is about, and once you feel like, oh, I've nailed down this universal truth, whether it's related to sleep training or feeding or whatever, bam, they enter a new growth cycle and they're in a completely different season. So has it been true for me that I am wildly more effective in an hour uninterrupted than I was before I had kids? Unequivocally, absolutely yes. Is it also true that there have been hours where I shut my office doors and I feel like my brain is scrambled eggs and I can't even, like, I just waste the hour doing something? Also yes. And so I don't think that it's like, a set in stone truth. And so I would just say for any woman, like, what is true is that our capacity expands, just like our physical bodies expand astronomically beyond what seems scientifically possible. Our womb space, our physicality, our fascia, like everything expands beyond the realm of what we think possible. So too does our capacity to get stuff done. And also, so too does our need for rest and replenishment, need for, nutrition and hydration. And so I really think that if for anybody who's listening to this and feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm worried that my ambition is going to go away. Like you spoke about this so beautifully before, Monica, like my experience is very much similar to yours, and that having children absolutely poured gasoline on the fire of my ambition. And it absolutely made me more focused in the times that I have to work. And it absolutely made it the case that there were some days that even if I had this fire or I was in a launch or wanted to create something and childcare fell through, or I didn't have, I needed to be with my kids, that I wasn't able to work in the way that I wanted to, but that's okay as well. So it's not like a one pill solution to just blaze through. Like there are real limitations that come with motherhood, but that is not a barrier. And that's what I think is important for women to know.
And that's what I want women to know, right? So like if you're listening to this and maybe you want to start a business, or you've started your business, but it's like not going to plan, or you've just found out that you're pregnant, or you've just had a kid and you're like, how do I do both? It's knowing from like what you've shared that you absolutely, like motherhood is not a barrier to you having success. It's not a barrier to you growing your business or scaling your business or even creating a business. And remembering like that motherhood productivity is a superpower. And I don't want any woman listening to this that wants to have a business and is also a mother or wants to be a mother to feel like, well, I need to wait until my kid's 3 and then I can start my business. Or I need to wait until this point and then I can start my business. Because even like when your kid's then 15, you're going to have a new season that you're in as motherhood.
Yes.
And now they're going to need you for all of like the school drama that you have to listen to, there's always going to be something else like you said. Okay. So my last question for you, and then we'll kind of leave it at this, is how have you seen women shift from, instead of going maiden to mother, they've gone maiden to martyr? And we've kind of alluded to it around the support, which I've kept saying this to people of like, that like having support has drastically changed my ability to show up as the mom I am, and also just the woman and the business owner that I am, like being, postpartum and even early postpartum. So yeah, from the women that work with you and the women that are in your lives and just kind of like in your life and like what you've seen, how are women not shifting from that maiden to mother and they're going maiden to martyr? Like we're getting things confused because of social conditioning.
I think this is a really important question. And I, so I'm like, a lot of the women really close to me, they're like very aware of that martyr conditioning. So I'm not seeing like huge amounts of women who are like deep in their martyr paradigm. I am seeing conscious women who are waking up to like, oh, I don't want to do that. But what I really believe to be true is that more than ever, I mean, perhaps this could be said from earlier moments in history, about earlier moments in history as well. But I believe more than ever right now, we are at a time of like, how do I want to say this? Like, there is so much pressure to be in a certain camp or believe a certain thing, whether that is politically, spiritually. And I think that, the reality is motherhood is a very can be a very catty kind of space of like us, them. Are you camp sleep training or co-sleeping? Are you
I feel
camp?
that, or just like there's always something that, someone's shaming another mother about or trying to like make themselves feel better about, instead of just giving themselves permission to feel good. This is my story. This is my reality. Move on. And not like, I won't go down this tangent. We can talk about it privately if we need to, but it's been really interesting now to observe of just like, especially like online, I'm talking about, of just there's always something else that like a mum needs to say, publicly. And it's interesting around the cattiness. And I mean, even in my book, I talk about it in the sense of you don't need to put yourself in a box. Just create, like, be the woman that you want to be, whatever that looks like in the given season of life.
Yeah, totally. And look, I think it's great for, that people have an opinion, and all the power to them. I have no issue with that. But what to your question of like, what makes mothers go from mother to martyr instead of, or maiden to martyr instead of maiden to empowered mother, I would say matriarch, if we're talking archetypally, if they're moving into more of that martyr paradigm as opposed to that matriarch paradigm. I feel like for a lot of women, the cultural association of a quote unquote good mom is, I sacrifice time for the kids. Inherently, I know that, of course, raising my children and pouring my devotion and love and care and connection into nurturing their well-being is of greater moral, spiritual significance than posting on Instagram, which I would agree with. I agree that that is true. But the association in this like us, them, quick, one click, no nuance culture is, therefore I must give all of that up. And what I think, and that's the slippery slope into martyrdom is, well, I know that motherhood is my superior, highest, most ultimate calling. And it's like, yes, okay, beautiful, me too. And does that actually mean that you have to abandon all of your other dreams and desires? Does that mean you have to abandon all of the other nodes and touch point in this larger wheel of your identity and wholeness as a woman? And I believe that, and my philosophy and my whole body of work is like, what if we could hold two things at the same time? Shocking, world changing for the world in so many different ways, right? What if two things can be true at the same time? What if we can know that our highest calling on this planet is to love, nurture, care for, and pour into the growth and the flourishing of our small humans, and we get to be sovereign, fulfilled, expressed, accomplished in whatever way that takes, in whatever form that takes for each of us, women with kids at the same time.
I feel like we need to just leave it there. Like, amen to all of that. I feel that so deeply. Just going back to work this week, like I am so happy, Cait. Like I have so much energy. I am so happy. And, between client calls and doing things, I'm seeing Trip and I'm feeding him and I'm playing with him. And I was just thinking yesterday, like, this is so full, as in like my life feels so full in the best of ways. You know, my night times are now not after work, like watching Netflix and chilling on the sofa and doing nothing. Now it's like bath time and playing. And like, there is a lot more stimulation in my day. There is a lot more to do. Like, things are a lot fuller, but they are a lot fuller. Like in my heart, I'm so happy because I'm giving myself permission to do both versus thinking I'm a better mother if I'm only a mother. Because for me personally, that doesn't feel right. Like, I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom, right? I like, my hat goes off to the women that can do it because I couldn't. I love being able to do both. So can you share, to wrap up, a quick summary about the amazing summit that you're hosting? I just did an interview for it, so you guys can go listen to it as well, and where people can find you, and also your amazing program that you're about to launch.
Yes, 1,000,000%. Well, thank you so much for just hosting this conversation, Monica. It's so important. And if you guys listening to this want more of this, you need to head to the link in the show notes and come join us for the Motherhood and Ambition Summit. I am hosting it along with 13 incredible speakers. Your girl, Monica, is one of them. And these are really powerful behind the scenes looks at how these different women we have multiple New York Times bestselling authors, incredible entrepreneurs, thought leaders, keynote speakers across a range of industries in both entrepreneurship and motherhood. They're sharing their true, real, unfiltered behind the scenes of how practically, tactically, and also energetically, how they hold both, how they do motherhood and ambition at the same time. And I will tell you, having had the privilege now of recording so many of these conversations, nobody's answer is the same. There are such diverse takes, which I think is important, which is exactly why I'm hosting this summit, because this is not a one-size-fit-all solution. This is about learning how we're going to do motherhood and ambition our way. So come to the link in the Monica's show notes. I don't know if Monica, you're going to have a keyword for this, like summit or something, but you can register. You can register for the Motherhood and Ambition Summit. It's completely free. And these are potent, digestible, short conversations. And we're going to have an incredible overview write-up for everybody who enrolls. It's totally free. So come check that out.
I can't wait to listen to them all myself, Cait.
Oh my gosh. I am
so excited.
I'm already listening back. I never listen back to my own recordings, and I've been listening back to them because they are so good. Yes. So I'm so excited for that. And we have a couple other really juicy things coming up after that you're going to want to check out as well. But you can stay connected with me. I'm at the Millionaire Mother on Instagram. I have a podcast myself called the Millionaire Mother Podcast. So definitely tune in there. We'll be sharing all about the good stuff that we have coming up.
Amazing. Oh, Cait, thank you so much for sharing all the wisdom, all the goodness, and most importantly, just the expansion around the fact that you can be a mother and have your ambitious career at the same time. So everybody, please go sign up to the summit. We will make the keyword summit. So if you do want to send me a DM on Instagram, if that's easier, you can then get the link that way. Otherwise, we'll have it in the link in the bio in my Instagram. We'll have it down below. We'll have it in all the places. Because like Cait said, you are not going to want to miss out on these conversations. I know that, just from now having the interview with Cait, it is punchy and tangible. There is absolutely zero fluff that you need to filter through. So don't feel like it's a waste of your time. And I cannot wait to listen to everybody else's episode. And Cait, I'd like for you to interview yourself for that as well, because that would be really great.
I'm going to. Don't worry.
Okay, good. Okay. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.